Hurricane Matthew is slowly approaching the United States.
Our Storm Tracker 13 weather team is here to give you the latest on this storm and where it's heading next. Luke?
And with the potential for an evacuation order coming this morning, we'll have what you need to know before hitting roads.
6 hotels here in Florence are packed with residents from Myrtle Beach. I'll have that story coming up.
News 13 this morning starts now.
Good morning. Thanks so much for joining us at 6:30 on your Thursday. I'm Patsy Kelly.
And I'm Matt Gittins. Hurricane Matthew again. We've been following it all throughout the week, tracking the latest projection of it. James Hopkins has the details of when it could arrive here.
Well, thanks, guys. We're getting into the latest data that we have from the potential track of Hurricane Matthew. And, of course, we're still a few days out. So as we go closer to Saturday, that's where the forecast model still got a little bit of a spread on it. On the tropical satellite, you see some of that heavy rain out ahead of it, and you see that eye. And you see it in a well-defined eye there. A Category 3 storm moving to the northwest at 12 miles per hour. Now winds up to 125 miles an hour and expected to intensify as we go throughout the day. And this, of course, is bad news for the coast of Florida by the time we get to early on Friday morning, potentially making landfall as a Category 4 storm. Very strong, 145-mile-per-hour winds, and then it's going to move its way up the coast. The land interaction is going to help weaken the storm as it gets closer to us, but as we get to early on Saturday morning, that's where we're going to start to feel the impacts building for our area as we go throughout the day on Sunday and then dying out on Monday. Kara?
James just showed the wind will have the rain building in much the same time period. We'll be seeing the best chances for rain starting around noon on Saturday, but especially at the coast, we'll be seeing those showers between 4 and about 8 a.m. And then after lunchtime, all throughout the rest of the day, we're looking at that very heavy rain. Rain totals around 4 to 8 inches for parts of the PD. At the coast, we could have some places as high as about 8 to 10 inches. You can see this is around 1 p.m. Saturday, starting to pull some of that rain in up from the south in Georgetown County at that point, almost 6 inches. A lot of places along the coast, though, going to be getting a lot of rain, and to add on to that, some coastal flooding is possible as well from the breezy northeast winds.
And now, WBTW on-time traffic.
Well, let's take a live look outside right now. Maybe as you get up and go to work this morning and nobody's going to school today. You see there on 17 near Broadway at the beach, everything's smooth sailing. We're moving along very, very smoothly. A lot of times at this time in the morning, we're seeing some congestion, but that's not the case right now. No school can have an impact on that. There was a little bit of a problem out here on 17 near number 9. That has cleared up significantly. A little bit of a motorist breakdown over towards 905, but as you see there on your map, not causing any sort of slowdowns as 22 heads in that area. Zooming out a little wider, you can see everything moving along very, very smoothly. That's the same case in the PD as well as on the Grand Strand. You can see green on your screen, and that's a lot better than what you normally see it on your Thursday morning commute, moving along very smoothly. Patsy?
Governor Nikki Haley said a potential evacuation of people in the Zone A areas of Horry and Georgetown counties may begin today at noon. Now, that's the area closest to the coast. In Horry County, that's all areas east of US 17 from the North Carolina line down to Myrtle Beach, and east of 17 Business from Myrtle Beach down to Surfside Beach. In Georgetown County, that's all areas east of 17 as well as low-lying areas around major rivers.
We have been very, very appreciative of the way South Carolinians have responded to this evacuation because we saw them start early. They've been very patient. Everything seems to be going smoothly, but we will continue to watch this until the evacuation is done.
Now, the South Carolina Highway Patrol will staff extra troopers in our area to help with any ordered evacuations ahead of Matthew.
They'll have troopers stationed along Highway 501 to handle the extra traffic. Corporal Sonny Collins with the Highway Patrol is with News 13's Lucas Lalonde right now at the Emergency Operations Center in Conway. Luke?
Yeah, Matt, like you said, I'm here with Corporal Sonny Collins, and we were just speaking off camera a little while ago, and one of the biggest things that you guys need to know is where you're going if that evacuation comes out, and why is that so important?
Well, if the evacuation order comes and we start moving large volumes of traffic out of the Grand Strand, you need to plan ahead, know where you're going to go, because as you move through that evacuation, we don't need to stop and ask directions of officers along that route, because you slowing down to do that just backs that complete evacuation process up. So plan ahead, look, are you going to Florence, Columbia, wherever? get a map so you know exactly where you're going, and that way you can proceed without any stops.
And part of that also means knowing what your evacuation route is depending on where you live.
Absolutely. We don't want everyone to funnel to Highway 501. So if you live on the southern end of the Grand Strand, using the Georgetown route would be the best, US 17 to Georgetown. If you're on the northern end, Highway 9, Highway 22 is a great opportunity for you. And of course, if you're in Myrtle Beach, Highway 501 is your most direct route out of Myrtle Beach, so that would be your primary route. So if we can get everyone to go to those routes individually, it will help that congestion on 501, which we know is going to be the major artery out of the Grand Strand today.
And also, you're recommending that people go ahead and do evacuate early so it doesn't put more people on the road all at the same time. Is that correct?
Yeah, if you know you're going to leave, you've already made that decision, then go ahead and let's go ahead and leave this morning. Because if that evacuation order does come, then of course everyone will start leaving and the roads will become much more congested. So you can save yourself some time by go ahead and leaving early.
Yeah, some times, and I'm sure some headaches as well. And just one last question is, what should people bring with them if they are going to go ahead and evacuate?
If you evacuate, full tank of gas, cash with you, medicine, make sure you have a photo ID so if the hurricane were to hit and you need to go back to your house, you have some record of you are a resident of that location. So all that will help, especially in the re-entry later.
All right. Corporal Collins, thank you very much. Reporting in Conway.
Says it wants its staff prepared for the worst case scenario. You saw Luke out there right now. Yesterday, officials declared a localized state of emergency, which means they can now take precautionary steps to keep people safe. You saw Luke at the Emergency Operations Center. Also, firefighters and police officers are going to work longer shifts.
The biggest thing is, don't drive through the water. That's always been a number one concern. We did a lot of lessons learned last year from the flooding, and we've purchased some equipment and made some changes to the way we operate to get prepared for the event that another flood does occur.
Part of that plan includes the Conway Police Department assigning officers to a traffic management team. They're going to track travel on Highway 501 as well as 31 and 22 as people from the north end of the Strand leave as well.
Coming up on News 13, find out how Santee Cooper is preparing for the storm and what they're more concerned about than power outages. Kiana?
I'm Kiana Patterson here in Florence, where hotels are packed. I'll have that story coming up.
This morning on News 13, today is the day to vote. We've got you covered on what you need to bring to the polls to vote.
And you'll hear from voters themselves on what issues matter most to them heading into this election day.
And find out why Hillary Clinton is apologizing about the 2016 presidential campaign.
News 13 this morning starts now.
Good morning. It is 6:30, bright and early on your election day. Thanks for joining us. I'm Patsy Kelly.
And I'm Matt Gittens. Polls open in just about 30 minutes. We learned earlier that you can't write in a candidate for president, but
I'm sorry if anyone out there was hoping to write me in.
You got a message from a Facebook watcher.
did.
They said that they would vote for Patsy.
They said they'd vote for me.
Yeah, wait, is that James says that would make two. James, was that where your vote was going to go?
Yeah.
No, because Patsy was going to vote for herself.
You're going to vote for herself. Naturally, James. Naturally, James Hopkins.
Yep.
Is not voting for me.
James has your weather, by the way, to get us started this morning.
Hey, you don't know whether I'm going to vote for you or not, Patsy. It's a secret.
Secret, James. That's a good way to keep it. Yes.
But I am voting today, which everyone should get out and vote. And we have no excuses today because the weather is going to be nice. It's just going to be a little on the cooler side. A cold start to the day, sunny but cooler this afternoon, and a warmer Wednesday as we're going to have a warm up ahead of another cold front coming in. We have a couple of cold fronts for this week, so we're going to have some up and down temperatures and a cooler weekend. Look at these chilly temperatures right now. Sherrill, Hartsville, Conway, all sitting at freezing. We're 34 for King Street, Laurinburg, 39, Georgetown, Myrtle Beach, North Myrtle, the warm spot at 40. Not very warm there, so grab a jacket when you're heading out the door. Look at the difference in temperatures from what we had this time yesterday. 16 degrees cooler Hartsville, 12 Florence, 9 Myrtle Beach, 7 Lumberton. So a cooler start, cooler afternoon, but high pressure's in control, which means a lot of sunshine to start the day. We'll gradually pick up a few more clouds and temperatures just a little bit below average. Not much, but we're looking out the door. 9 a.m., lots of sun, 40s for the PD, border belt 50, right around that for the beaches. We'll be in the upper 60s today. A little warmer for tomorrow, ahead of another cold front. We'll talk more about that coming up.
And now, WBTW on-time traffic.
We have an accident popping up in Horry County. This is on Highway 905, right at Highway 22, Veterans Highway. There are injuries reported with this accident, reported by the SCDOT, and you can see some backup in the yellow right toward the intersection of 22 and 905. This is stretching for about a mile past Red Bluff Road at this point, but anticipating some delays in the area of 905 and 22 if you can avoid it for this morning. Carolina Forest Boulevard up toward CCU on 501. Things are moving smoothly. 544 and 701, no issues to report. Your drive times in Horry County are in the green this morning. We'll have an update on what's going on in the PD coming up in just a few minutes. Over to you.
Erin, thank you. This morning, after more than a year of debate, voters are heading to the polls to decide the most controversial election in decades. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton will both be in New York City tonight as the results come in.
That's also where we find News 13's national correspondent, Mark Meredith. He's in Times Square this morning for Election Day.
After raising and spending millions of dollars, reaching out to every voter they could, tonight Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton will end the 2016 race. Where else but right here in New York City? Hard to believe, but by this time tomorrow, America could be waking up to learn who will be the next president of the United States. On Monday, Donald Trump stayed on message and stayed on the stump. Trump hitting several battleground states, including Florida and Michigan. Even last night in New Hampshire, Trump remained optimistic about his chances.
I think we're doing really, really well in Pennsylvania. And I do believe we are leading in Florida.
But the latest polls show Trump trailing. Most national surveys have Clinton ahead by roughly 4 points. On Monday, the Democrat didn't take any chances. Standing with President Obama and others, Clinton made one last push to get out the vote. But she also made this unusual apology to voters everywhere.
I regret deeply how angry the tone of the campaign became.
Clinton supporters will be gathered at New York's Javits Center, and it's no coincidence that the facility has a glass ceiling. Not too far away, Donald Trump supporters will be gathered at New York's Midtown Hilton. That's where Trump is expected to address his supporters later on tonight. As to what time either candidate is going to speak, that's anyone's guess, just depending as these results come in later on tonight. Reporting this morning from Times Square in New York, I'm Mark Meredith.
Mark, thank you. Trump was in Raleigh yesterday. He told the crowd they're part of a movement he plans to take all the way to the White House. Trump spoke about some of his key campaign points, including stronger immigration policy and cutting taxes on American businesses. And Clinton made a final push to voters as well. She held a midnight rally in Raleigh in Reynolds Coliseum. Lady Gaga and John Bon Jovi joined Clinton there to rally for her.
It is finally Election Day. Today, America picks our next leader. Voters head to the polls to cast their votes for the presidential election. News 13's Lucas Lalonde joins us live from a voting location in Horry County. And Luke, there are already cars there behind you.
Yeah, Matt, people have actually been showing up since 5:30 this morning here in Socastee. They're still waiting outside, waiting for the doors to open at 7 o'clock to let them in. And I spoke to some of those voters about what issues matter most to them heading into the election.
Well, the most important issue to me is the safety of the nation.
I really believe we've got the greatest country in the world, and I would like to see us remain that way for my children.
Less partisanship, more working together.
One more 4 years and we've had it.
It's concerning the turn of our country, concerning Supreme Court justices that will be put in.
The economy. I've been out of work a couple of years.
I would say just getting it over with. Really, getting it over with.
As you can see, a wide variety of reactions as to why it's so important to get out and vote, and some people that just would like to see it all come to a close.
Now, Luke, you've talked to a lot of people, we heard from a lot of the voters there, a lot of people already in line. What do people do maybe if they see something that they don't think is right today with the polls? What are their options and what do they do with that?
Yeah, well, Matt, there's plenty of things you can't do. You can't take a selfie, for example, in a polling place. That's illegal. You also can't wear any campaign gear. Now, if you do see something, you are asked to go to the poll manager. There's poll workers there at every polling station. If they can't help you, then you can go to the Board of Voter Registration and Elections if you have to file a complaint. Reporting in Socastee, Lucas Lalonde, News 13.
Thank you, Lucas. Again, News 13 has you covered all day with the election. Today is that first presidential general election when South Carolinians, need a voter ID, a photo ID with you. You can see some of the options there on your screen. When you go to vote, you need to have one of those 5: a driver's license, a DMV-issued photo ID card, a military ID, a passport, or a voter registration card that has a photo. If you don't have any of those, you still can vote, but you'll have to sign an affidavit saying why you couldn't get one of those, and you'd vote on a provisional ballot.
Several polling places in Robeson County had to move because of Hurricane Matthew. People who normally vote at the West Lumberton Hut on Buchanan Street will move to the O.P. Owens Agriculture Building at 455 Catton Road. If you cast a ballot at the South Lumberton Resource Center on Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, you'll need to go to Lumberton Fire Department number 3 on Dunn Road. And because the Bill Sapp Recreation Center is being used as a hurricane shelter, voters will go to the Senior Citizen Center on Pine Street.
We've been able to find places and everything else, and what we tried to do was get them as close to where they've been voting as possible, so people would not have to travel a long distance to go vote.
There's a polling change in Florence County. People who normally vote at the Maple Park Recreation Center on Gregg Avenue will vote at Central United Methodist Church. That's at the corner of Irby and Chevis Streets. Also today, the U.S. Justice Department will monitor elections. DOJ personnel will go to 67 jurisdictions in 28 states. That includes North Carolina to enforce voting rights laws and ensure access to the ballot. 5 counties are on the list in North Carolina. One of them is Robeson County. South Carolina is not on the list.
Programming note for you about tonight. Because of election coverage, Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy are moving to another channel. You can still watch them, but that's going to be over on WBTW's secondary channel, 13.2. And our coverage of local, state, and the presidential race begins tonight at 7:25. We have live reports and updates every single half hour. That leads up to News 13 at 11. News 13 has you covered on every contested race in our area. It is Election Day coverage you can count on.
Coming up on News 13, find out what caused a huge sinkhole in Japan.
Pretty incredible video. We'll show it to you. You'll also find out what officials are thinking caused 30 kids to get sick at a daycare. Stay with us. It's 6:38 here on your Election Day morning.
News 13 This Morning starts now.
Coming up in the next 30 minutes, what Florence County Sheriff's deputies know about a body they found last night.
Plus, 3 people are dead and 2 are hurt after a plane crash in Southern California. What we know on this developing story.
And authorities in the Lowcountry search for a man they say stole money from Girl Scouts. How one Good Samaritan came to the rescue.
Lots of clouds and not really much shower activity left as we have a warm front moving through the area, and we're looking at a very warm near record day today and another one for tomorrow. Right now, taking a look out over Myrtle Beach, and as you can see, a lot of cloud cover. The showers, for the most part, have moved their way offshore, and we're going to continue to see these temperatures on their way up. There's the warm front. Look at your storm tracker radar. You see the showers well offshore now and not really much left behind. But as this warm front pushes up through the area throughout the day, we could have the potential for maybe a stray shower or 2. Not really much of a chance there. But once that pushes further to the north, we're just going to get even warmer for your Wednesday. Out of the bus stop this morning, again, we are mostly dry. Could still have a spotty shower or 2, but chances for that are already fairly low. Temperatures about 50 to 59 for much of the PD and 61, 62 for the beaches, so feeling good. Picking up the kids from school later this afternoon, small shower chance. Partly sunny, warm. 75 for the beaches, 80 for the PD. Even warmer for your Wednesday, but that's ahead of a cold front. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a few minutes.
And now, WBTW on-time traffic.
And we continue to take a look here at the Grand Strand this morning. You can see here from Myrtle Beach to Conway, not a whole lot going on. One accident just coming in. We'll take a look at that here real quickly. Up towards the Carolina Forest University. It looks like there is starting to get a little bit of traffic heavy on 501. This wreck is at Cox Ferry Road. The accident is at SC 544, so just be on the alert for that if you're traveling up that way. Also, we continue to keep a close eye on 501 there towards 17, some congestion going on right now. And also a wreck that we're continuing to watch at 90, and it looks like 31 there. There is one lane block. So again, we'll keep a close eye on that as the roads are becoming a little bit wet with the rain moving out of here.
Thank you, Jonathan. Florence County deputies, meanwhile, investigate after a body was found on South Jefferds Street in Florence overnight. The coroner's office sent that body to MUSC for an autopsy. The name of the victim or cause of death has not been released.
This morning, authorities say 3 people died and 2 are hurt after the plane they were in crashed into homes in Southern California. It happened in the town of Riverside. The fire chief there said no one inside those homes was hurt. The plane was carrying a man, his wife, and their 3 teenagers back home to San Jose from Riverside after a cheerleading competition at Disneyland. 2 homes were destroyed, and there was minor damage to some neighboring homes. President Donald Trump goes prime time tonight for his first nationally televised address before a joint session of Congress. The president is expected to talk about his accomplishments since taking office, as well as his outline for his plans to repeal and replace Obamacare, lower taxes, and fix the nation's infrastructure.
Myrtle Beach City Council is meeting today discussing if the Carolina Country Music Fest and Memorial Day Bike Fest should be treated as extraordinary events. That provides things like extra police help and money to help with cleanup. The meeting starts at 2 o'clock this afternoon at the Ted C. Collins Law Enforcement Center. Also during the City Council meeting, members are voting on whether or not Myrtle Beach can force businesses to shut down in the area known as the Super Block. The city wants to build a new library and children's museum in that space, so they're looking at buying the existing properties. City Manager John Peterson says it applies to businesses that the city's made offers to but has not reached an agreement with. Peterson says they've had problems with crime in the past. We asked eminent domain lawyer Robert Shelton what the city needs to do to show that it can use eminent domain.
You have to prove that the taking is for a public purpose, and that's been the source of a lot of controversy over the years, what is and what is not a public purpose.
In this case, the city says the library and museum will be owned and funded by the government for public use, so it may fall under eminent domain. Some of the Superblock businesses are leased buildings, though. The attorney says under South Carolina law, a tenant would also be entitled to compensation if the city does use eminent domain.
First responders, government officials, and concerned residents met last night in Surfside Beach to discuss the heroin epidemic. Agencies from all over the Grand Strand were represented, including Horry County PD, Myrtle Beach PD, and the 15th Judicial Circuit Solicitor's Office. Some spoke about law enforcement, while others spoke about education and recovery. Surfside Beach Police hosted the event to open the conversation between addicts, law enforcement, and the community.
We don't have a large number of heroin-related incidents in Surfside Beach, but across the South Strand, we want to try to help everybody to be able to come together and work together on this problem.
Lieutenant Hoffman said the Surfside Beach Police Department is currently looking into getting Narcan, which is a medicine used to save someone who's overdosed. Coming up on News 13, we'll tell you why voting changes might be on the way in Surfside Beach. Plus, one man is wanted after police say he stole money from a group of Girl Scouts. An Horry County Council will decide tonight whether you can have chickens in your backyard. Those stories and more when News 13 continues.